to a fantastic evening and even better prospects.
Cheers to that, well said.
Atlanta had never witnessed humiliation dressed this bad. The rooftop of the Aurora Grand shimmered beneath chandeliers. The skyline stretched wide and golden behind it, like the city itself was waiting for something unforgettable. Everyone believed they were about to witness a proposal. Yes, they were right. Just not the one they expected. Maya Thompson stood near the edge of the rooftop terrace, wind brushing softly against her dark curls. The sapphire gown she wore wrapped around her like liquid silk. She looked composed. Confident. Unshakable. 6 years with Ethan Park had led to this night. 6 years of building a life together. Surviving early struggles. Standing beside him when investors doubted him. Supporting him through internal family pressure from Park Global Industries, the Korean-American conglomerate that ruled his family's legacy. Everyone assumed she would become Mrs. Park. Except her best friend, Brielle Carter. Ethan tapped his glass. The music faded. Maya's heart accelerated, but her expression remained calm. Ethan walked forward, smiling that smooth, practiced smile. The one investors trusted. The one Maya once loved. He reached into his jacket pocket. Gasps rose as he lowered to one knee. But he wasn't facing Maya. He turned. Toward Brielle. For half a second, Maya thought she misread the angle. Then she heard the words. Maya has been important in my life, Ethan began, but sometimes we mistake comfort for destiny. Everywhere went silent. My future is standing beside her. He opened the ring box. Brielle Carter, will you marry me? There are moments when humiliation doesn't burn. It freezes. Maya stood frozen. Brielle cried. Actually cried. Covered her mouth like this was a fairy tale. She said yes. People started clapping and taking pictures. And Maya felt something inside her shut down completely. Ethan never looked at her, he couldn't face her. That was the cruelty. That was when it dawned on her that all this while Ethan and Brielle were acting like they disliked each other, not knowing they were seeing each other behind her back. Brielle and Maya have been friends since childhood. She couldn't believe her best friend could be so cruel. She was so hurt that she couldn't cry. She walked out without saying a word. Within hours, the video went viral. The most shocking proposal of the year. Comment sections debated whether Maya should have seen it coming. No one knew the truth. The affair had been going on for 11 months. Inside Maya's condo. On weekends she traveled for business. On holidays. With the same friend who helped her pick out that sapphire gown. But betrayal wasn't the most hurtful part. The most hurtful part was why. And Maya wouldn't discover that until it was almost too late. 3 days later, a black armored sedan pulled up outside her Buckhead condo. The driver handed her an envelope sealed in gold wax from Ji-hoon Park, Ethan's uncle. Chairman of Park Global Industries, the most admired Korean billionaire. The most feared negotiator in corporate America's tech sector. He rarely made public appearances. He rarely invited anyone into his private circle. He was more of an introverted person and avoided any unnecessary scandals. The card inside was simply said. Private dinner. Manhattan. 8 p.m. Maya stared at it for a long time. Then she booked a flight, because humiliation could either bury you or reposition you. She was curious to know what's going on. Ji-hoon Park's Manhattan penthouse sat 60 floors above Central Park. The city lights stretched endlessly beneath glass walls. He stood by the window when she entered. He is a tall, calm and reserved man. Silver strands cutting through his dark hair. His presence didn't dominate the entire building. Miss Thompson, he said calmly. You handled yourself with discipline. Is that why I'm here? She asked. He poured tea. My nephew lacks foresight. And that concerns you? How? She asked. It concerns my empire. Then he said it. Marry me. Maya looked in awe and asked, why? Because you were underestimated, he replied. And because I intend to correct instability inside my family. He leaned slightly forward. Ethan believed he could embarrass you publicly without consequence. I disagree. So this is revenge, she asked. No, Ji-hoon said. This is correction. He explained what the public didn't know. Park Global's board had been quietly questioning succession planning. Ethan's impulsive behavior created doubt. Investors noticed. Marrying Maya would signal stability. And what do I gain? She asked. Protection. Access. Influence. And the truth. Her eyes narrowed slightly. What truth? He held her gaze. About your father. The room shifted. Maya's father, David Thompson, died in a construction accident 23 years ago tied to one of Park Global's early American projects. An accident ruled incidental. Ji-hoon's expression hardened slightly. I recently discovered inconsistencies in those old records. He said. Everywhere went silent, Ethan had known. That's why he distanced himself months ago. That's why the proposal felt rehearsed. That's why he erased her publicly. If she became his wife, old liabilities tied to her father's death could resurface. The betrayal wasn't about love. It was about liability. Suddenly, Maya understood. Ethan didn't replace her because he loved Brielle. He replaced her because he knew she could find out, and Brielle was a convenient pick for him. Maya looked back at Ji-hoon. How deep does this go? He answered honestly. Deep enough that someone doesn't want you asking questions. That was the moment she said yes without hesitation. She was ready to uncover the secret behind her father's death. The wedding took place on a private California estate. Security was tight. Executives flew in from Seoul. Political figures attended discreetly. Media circled at a distance. It was an exclusive ceremony. Maya walked down the aisle in structured ivory silk, posture straight, she looked elegant and beautiful. Everyone admired her. Ethan stood among the guests beside Brielle. His jaw tightened. When Ji-hoon slid the ring onto Maya's finger, he leaned close enough for only her to hear. No one replaces my wife. But beneath the elegance, something far darker was already unfolding. 2 weeks before the wedding, Ji-hoon had initiated a confidential internal audit. Target, Ethan Park, and as investigators dug deeper into recent financial maneuvering, they uncovered something buried in older archives. The Houston Project. The same division tied to David Thompson's death. New evidence suggested negligence had been deliberately covered, and Ethan's father had overseen that division at the time. But then the audit uncovered something worse. Ethan had accessed those sealed archives 8 months earlier. 8 months before the rooftop proposal. He knew. He knew marrying Maya could reopen the case. So, he distanced himself, strategically, and when that wasn't enough, he humiliated her publicly to push her away permanently. He believed humiliation would silence her, but he underestimated her, and now, he was panicking. 3 nights after the wedding, Maya's car lost brake pressure driving through the hills outside Los Angeles. The driver barely managed to avoid a cliff. The vehicle slammed into a guardrail, though there was no injuries, but the brake line had been cut deliberately. Ji-hoon didn't react emotionally. Security footage was pulled. Employees were questioned. Someone had accessed the garage an hour before departure, and that someone had once worked in a subsidiary directly connected to the Houston division. This wasn't random. Someone didn't want Maya alive, but that wasn't the only secret. 2 weeks later, Maya fainted during a board briefing in New York. The diagnosis was private. She was pregnant, and the timeline was complicated. The child could be Ethan's or Ji-hoon's. The board didn't know. Ji-hoon didn't ask yet because bigger threats were closing in. Ethan, desperate and cornered, leaked partial internal documents to a journalist, framing Ji-hoon as manipulating corporate governance for personal gain. The story gained traction. Until Maya stepped forward. At a press conference in Manhattan, she acknowledged historical negligence in the Houston division. She announced an independent investigation, and she confirmed something no one expected. She was pregnant. The room froze. Questions erupted. Reporters speculated. Was the baby the heir to Park Global? Or a scandal waiting to explode? And somewhere in the chaos, a second assassination attempt was quietly planned. As pressure mounted, the Park family fractured. Certain board members aligned with Ethan while others stood with Ji-hoon. An inheritance war erupted. If Maya's child was Ji-hoon's, the succession line shifted permanently. If the child was Ethan's, scandal would detonate the empire. DNA testing was requested and Maya agreed, because she already knew something no one else did. She had tested earlier. The baby was Ji-hoon's, but she withheld the results temporarily, because someone inside Park Global was still orchestrating attacks. The break sabotage was only the beginning. Financial records pointed to offshore transfers linked to a shadow investor attempting to destabilize stock prices during the audit. That investor turned out to be connected to Ethan's father's old network. The cover-up from 23 years ago wasn't isolated. It was planned, and people with power were terrified of exposure. The final twist came when surveillance footage revealed the break sabotage had not been ordered by Ethan. It was ordered by Brielle. Brielle, who had discovered she was pregnant too, and she believed Ethan would abandon her once the corporate storm intensified. She thought removing Maya would stabilize her future. Desperation made her reckless. When confronted, Brielle confessed. Ethan had no idea. For the first time, even he looked broken. Brielle was arrested. Ethan's reputation collapsed completely. Federal investigators reopened the Houston case. Compensation funds were distributed. Ji-hoon restructured leadership, and in the midst of corporate chaos, Maya gave birth to a healthy son in a private New York hospital. The official DNA results confirmed what she already knew. The heir to Park Global Industries had been born, and he was hers. Months later, on a Manhattan balcony overlooking the skyline, Ji-hoon stood beside Maya. When I proposed, he said quietly, I intended to restore order. And now, she asked. I intend to protect our future. The war was over. Ethan relocated overseas, his influence gone. But the true transformation wasn't corporate. It was personal. Maya entered the Park empire humiliated. She emerged as its most powerful force. And the man who once thought replacing her would protect his future learned something too late. The woman he erased became the matriarch of the empire he lost. And this time, no one would ever dare try to erase her again. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Also tell us where you are watching from in the comments.